Alex stepped off the shuttle and onto the polished floor of the Interstellar Academy, a place filled with recruits from dozens of alien species. The hallway stretched endlessly, illuminated by soft white lights that reflected off the smooth metal walls. Strange voices echoed around him, some clicking, some humming, some spoken in tones that made his ears ring slightly. The smell was unfamiliar, like ozone and metal mixed with faint, sweet scents he couldn't identify. He adjusted the strap of his backpack and took a slow breath. He was small compared to the other cadets. His frame was slender, his muscles untested, and his height barely reached the shoulder of the tallest aliens in the room. He knew he would be noticed, but not for the reasons he wanted. Already, a group of reptilian cadets with thick scales and long claws were whispering behind him, their yellow eyes narrowed. "Look at him," one hissed, voice sharp. "He's barely taller than my foot." "Weak," said another, clicking its tongue. "No strength, no skill. What kind of species sends this to combat training?" Alex ignored them, keeping his head low and walking at a steady pace. He knew the academy would be full of challenges, but he also knew something the aliens did not. Humans were clever, adaptable, and patient. Strength and size were only part of the equation. Strategy, observation, and learning fast could change everything. As he entered the main training hall, the laughter continued. Alien recruits pointed and mimicked his small movements, exaggerating weakness. A bulky alien with 4 arms stomped toward him and sneered, "You? Combat? You'll be crushed before your first lesson." Alex smiled slightly, not out of arrogance but calm confidence. He had watched alien fighting techniques, observed patterns, and knew that every species had its limits. His plan was simple: watch, learn, and adapt faster than anyone expected. The academy instructors were already gathering in the center of the hall, tall and imposing figures who radiated authority. Some floated slightly above the ground, some towered over the recruits, and some had strange appendages that writhed slowly. They began calling names, assigning cadets to groups for orientation exercises. When Alex's name was announced, he noticed the brief pause that followed. Some aliens exchanged looks, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and disbelief. "Alex?" one instructor asked, his voice a low rumble. "Human? Are you sure?" "Yes, sir," Alex replied calmly, his voice steady and clear. He did not flinch at the height or the strange forms of the instructor. The instructor shook his head, muttering something in an alien language that was translated instantly by Alex's device. "He looks like a child. He will fail before he even starts." Alex only nodded politely and walked toward his assigned group. The alien cadets were already lined up, each larger, stronger, and visibly more confident. Some had armor-like skin, others carried bladed appendages, and a few had wings folded neatly against their backs. They all stared at him, some with amusement, some with disdain, and a few with curiosity that Alex could sense but not yet name. "Is this a joke?" whispered a tall, horned alien behind him. "They actually let a human enroll?" Alex kept his expression neutral. He did not answer. Humans were not loud, not boastful, and rarely revealed their thoughts immediately. Observation was a human strength. He began to quietly study the others, how they held themselves, how they moved, how their muscles tensed before speaking. Every detail mattered, and every detail could be used later. The first exercise was simple, a running test across the hall, designed to measure speed, agility, and reaction time. Alex had never been the fastest in school sports, but he had trained his mind to calculate distances, anticipate movement, and conserve energy. As the horned alien laughed and surged forward with impressive speed, Alex waited. When the instructor shouted, he pushed off the ground with perfect timing, dodged around a group of slower cadets, and kept pace. Some aliens stumbled as he moved with quiet efficiency. A few muttered, eyes wide, as they realized that despite his size, he was holding his own. Not a word escaped Alex. He only focused on his breathing, his movements, and the path ahead. After the run, the recruits gathered again. A group of smaller, clawed aliens crowded around him, whispering, "He barely moved, and yet he's not behind." "How?" Alex smiled faintly and said nothing. Sometimes silence spoke louder than words. The next exercise involved coordination, working in teams to carry heavy objects and navigate obstacle courses. The aliens expected him to struggle. They moved the objects with strength alone, brute force that caused some to stumble or overshoot the designated zone. Alex, however, observed the timing and rhythm of the others. He used his smaller size to slip between obstacles, adjusting his angle with precision and avoiding wasted effort. By the end of the exercise, the team had completed the course in record time. The aliens were stunned. They had assumed a human would slow them down, but Alex's clever movements and observation skills had allowed them to move faster than they thought possible. Later, during a break, Alex sat quietly near a wall, stretching and reviewing mental notes. Some aliens approached, hesitantly, their expressions now a mixture of confusion and curiosity. You're not weak," one admitted, a green-skinned alien with a long tail. "I thought humans were fragile. I underestimated you." Alex shrugged lightly. "Strength isn't everything. Watching, learning, and adapting can be just as important." The alien blinked, clearly trying to process this idea. Another cadet snorted. "That may be true, but don't think you're better than us. We've trained for decades. You're still small, still inexperienced." Alex smiled quietly to himself. He didn't need to argue. He would prove it in time. Humans were patient and resilient. They could endure ridicule, observation, and challenge, all while learning faster than anyone suspected. As the day ended, recruits were dismissed to their quarters. Alex walked slowly through the hallways, noting the architecture, the displays, and even the little habits of his fellow cadets. Every detail could be useful later. A few aliens continued to glance at him with a new kind of respect, though none spoke openly about it. That night, Alex reviewed his mental notes. He traced the movements of every alien he had seen, their strengths and weaknesses, their predictable patterns and moments of error. He realized that though they were stronger and larger, their confidence often made them slow, predictable, or careless. A small, quiet human could exploit that, if they remained patient and observant. "Tomorrow," he whispered to himself, "we start real training. And they will see that being underestimated is their first mistake." Outside, the academy was quiet under a sky filled with distant stars, alien moons, and planets swirling in the void. Within, a small human had arrived unnoticed, judged weak, and mocked. Yet he smiled quietly in the darkness, knowing that his real strength lay not in muscle or claws, but in mind, observation, and patience. And the alien cadets, confident and unchallenged, would soon learn that humans were never as weak as they seemed. The morning sun barely touched the metal walls of the Interstellar Academy as Alex entered the training grounds. The air smelled faintly of ozone and burning energy from the simulators. Recruits from countless alien species were already stretching, testing their strength, and flexing muscles that seemed unnatural to a human. They moved with confidence, confident that nothing in this academy could challenge them. Alex, small and lean, stepped carefully onto the field, aware of the stares, whispers, and outright laughter directed at him. "Watch him fall," a horned alien whispered to another, his eyes glinting with amusement. "He's going to embarrass himself." The first exercise was simple in theory, a series of obstacle courses designed to test agility, strength, and reflexes. Aliens leapt, crawled, and balanced with ease, their forms adapted to physical extremes that humans could hardly imagine. Alex took a deep breath and stepped forward. His first jump landed awkwardly and he stumbled, nearly falling flat on his face. The horned alien snickered loudly and several others joined in, pointing and whispering. Alex did not respond. He got up, brushed himself off, and studied the course carefully. Every alien had a rhythm to their movement, a pattern in their jumps, their timing. He memorized it. He noticed small weaknesses, the way a bulky alien's momentum made it hard to turn quickly, how a fast one often overestimated distance, and even how some species shifted weight before moving, signaling their next step. The second attempt went slightly better. He cleared the first few obstacles without falling, though he stumbled again at a narrow beam. The snickers continued, but Alex ignored them, focusing on learning rather than impressing. With each failure, he analyzed what went wrong and adjusted for the next attempt. "Humans really are hopeless," a scaled alien muttered, shaking its clawed hand in disbelief. Even after 2 attempts, he's still falling. Pathetic. But Alex did not hear them. He repeated the course again, timing his movements with care, watching the way the others navigated the obstacles. He noticed how some aliens relied solely on brute strength to cross gaps, how others had excellent balance but slow reflexes, and how a few were fast but poorly coordinated. In his mind, Alex mapped these patterns, already thinking of ways to use them to his advantage. By the 3rd attempt, Alex was moving faster and smoother. He still stumbled occasionally, but each misstep was smaller, less dramatic. The horned alien who had laughed the loudest earlier tilted its head, confusion spreading across its face. How was the human improving so quickly? They had trained for years, but a few repetitions and Alex was already beginning to catch up. The instructor, a tall being with 4 arms and luminous eyes, observed quietly. Its voice echoed over the training ground, amplified by strange devices. Efficiency comes not only from strength but from learning and adaptation. Observe all movements, analyze and apply knowledge immediately. Only then will you succeed. Alex smiled slightly, understanding the lesson instantly. He was not strong or fast yet, but he could learn faster than anyone else. While the aliens relied on instinct and training, he relied on observation and adaptation. Every stumble became a learning point, every fall an opportunity. The next challenge was a sparring exercise. Pairs of cadets were assigned to practice combat techniques under supervision. Alex was paired with a bulky alien with wide shoulders and thick, armored skin. The alien swung its arms with frightening strength, expecting an easy target. Alex ducked, rolled, and dodged, narrowly avoiding the powerful strikes. He stumbled twice, barely recovering each time. The alien snorted, assuming it would finish him quickly. But Alex was noticing patterns. Every strike had a rhythm, every swing left a momentary opening. With a careful step and a slight twist, he countered, not with raw strength but with precise, small strikes to the alien's joints. The alien's eyes widened, unaccustomed to this kind of clever movement. Alex moved quickly, using balance and leverage instead of force, and finally created a small opening to end the exercise successfully. The observing aliens gasped quietly. Whispers spread, "How did he do that? And humans, maybe they're not so weak after all." Some shrugged, refusing to admit it openly, but curiosity had replaced amusement. Alex did not celebrate. He knew this was only the beginning. Every movement, every technique, every alien habit was information to store. Each time he stumbled, he adapted. Each time he fell, he learned. By the end of the day, he had run the obstacle course multiple times, sparred with several aliens, and quietly outperformed expectations without anyone noticing the full extent of his learning. During a break, some cadets approached him, still skeptical but slightly hesitant. "Human, you're improving faster than expected," said a green-skinned alien with spindly limbs. "Is it luck?" Alex shook his head. "No. I watch, I learn, and I try again. That's all." The alien blinked, struggling to understand. "That is unusual." "Yes," Alex said simply. "Sometimes patience and observation matter more than strength." As the sun set over the academy grounds, the remaining cadets gathered near the dormitories, discussing the day's events. The horned alien who had mocked Alex most of the morning was unusually quiet, glancing toward the human with a mixture of frustration and curiosity. How could someone so small, so seemingly weak, learn so quickly? How could someone adapt so fast without brute strength or experience? Alex walked alone to the training hall's observation area, reviewing the day's exercises in his mind. Every stumble, every fall, every misstep had been valuable. He thought about how to improve tomorrow, how to move faster, how to read alien movements before they even acted. His notebook, small, filled with sketches and notes, was already full of observations, techniques, habits, reaction times, and weaknesses. Evening descended, and the academy quieted. The alien recruits returned to their quarters, talking among themselves, trying to explain what they had seen. Some dismissed it as luck. Others, more honest, admitted confusion and even fear. Humans had arrived underestimated, but one human, Alex, was quietly proving that appearances could be deceiving. Alex lay on his cot, exhausted but satisfied. He replayed the day in his mind, the stumbles, the falls, the small victories, and the lessons learned. The aliens thought he was weak, but he had already begun to show his true strength: adaptability, observation, patience, and determination. And in the quiet of the night, the academy seemed unaware that a small human was already changing expectations. The laughter of the aliens, the snickers of the cadets, the looks of disbelief, all of it would matter less tomorrow. Alex closed his eyes, thinking quietly, "They think I'm weak. They think I can't compete. That's fine. I'll show them the truth, one step at a time." Outside, the stars shone silently, cold and distant. Inside, a small human had begun to prove that strength was not measured only by size or muscle, but by mind, resilience, and the courage to keep trying when everyone else doubts you. And tomorrow the aliens would learn that underestimation was a mistake they could not afford to make. The morning sun barely touched the training grounds when Alex entered the sparring arena. The hall was enormous, with smooth floors that reflected the light and walls lined with observation panels. Aliens from every corner of the galaxy were present, their eyes bright with curiosity and excitement. Some were eager to see another human fail. Others were secretly curious, remembering the small victories Alex had shown during the obstacle courses. "Today you will spar in pairs," the instructor announced, a tall being with 4 arms and skin that shimmered like liquid metal. Observe, adapt, and react. This is the first real test of combat skills. Alex took a deep breath and stepped onto the arena floor. His first opponent was a bulky alien with powerful arms and claws that gleamed under the light. The alien smirked, assuming this would be an easy match. "You are weak," it growled, swinging a massive arm toward him. "Prepare to fall." Alex ducked quickly, rolling to the side and using the momentum to push himself back up. He had fallen before, stumbled before, and learned that raw strength could be dodged and attacks could be anticipated. The alien struck again, slower this time, and Alex noticed a pattern. The alien relied too heavily on force, swinging in wide arcs that left small openings. He countered with a quick step and a low strike, using precise movement rather than power. The alien faltered slightly, surprised by the small but effective impact. Alex continued, dodging each swing, analyzing every move, and finding the weak points in the alien's style. From the observation panels, other cadets were whispering, their confidence shaken. How is he keeping up?" asked a horned alien, its tail twitching nervously. "I thought humans were fragile, weak, slow, and yet he's avoiding every strike." Alex noticed a small gap in the alien's defense, a shift in weight that occurred just before it swung its arms. He used that information to land a light but effective tap on its shoulder, knocking it off balance. The alien stumbled backward, and the instructor raised an arm, signaling the end of the round. "You survived the first match," the instructor said, voice calm but approving. "Observe carefully. Adaptation is more important than strength alone." Alex nodded politely, stepping aside for the next pairing. His next opponent was taller, faster, and more agile. It darted around him, attempting strikes from different angles. Alex dodged, rolled, and shifted positions, using the arena itself to his advantage. He bounced lightly off the walls, sidestepped rapidly, and even used his smaller size to slip under the alien's swinging limbs. The alien's eyes widened, unaccustomed to this style of movement. Every attack it made was met with a different defense, a different angle, and every time Alex adjusted seamlessly. He had learned the alien techniques by watching them, breaking them down in his mind, and then blending them into his own unique style. Strength, speed, and size mattered less than timing, anticipation, and clever adaptation. Around the arena, cadets whispered in astonishment. He's using their moves, but better," a green-skinned alien muttered. "It's like he's thinking 3 steps ahead." Another alien tilted its head, confused. "I thought humans were weak. I thought we would finish him easily. How is he surviving against trained fighters?" Alex didn't pause. Each movement was deliberate, each step carefully calculated. He dodged another powerful strike and countered with a small push to the alien's chest, just enough to unbalance it. The alien stumbled but recovered quickly, now wary and more careful with its attacks. "Humans are not what we thought," whispered a nearby cadet, almost to itself. The word spread quickly and soon a low murmur filled the arena. Others nodded, some in disbelief, some in admiration. Alex faced his next opponent, a winged alien with sharp talons and lightning-fast reflexes. Its strikes were rapid, unpredictable, and deadly if caught. Alex studied the angles, the timing, and the wing's motions, noticing that every movement created a small opening immediately afterward. Using his agility, he moved in ways no alien expected, ducking, rolling, sidestepping, and even bouncing lightly off the floor to avoid direct hits. The winged alien lunged multiple times, its claws cutting through the air inches from his face. Alex responded with precise, minimal movements, letting the alien exhaust itself while he stayed calm and collected. Finally, he slipped under a swinging talon and tapped the alien's shoulder lightly, signaling the end of the sparring match. The arena was silent for a moment, then filled with whispers, gasps, and the occasional low growl. Cadets and instructors alike stared at Alex, some trying to hide their amazement, others unable to. The small human had survived every round, dodged attacks, and countered effectively, blending alien techniques into his own fluid style. Even the instructor, who had watched thousands of cadets train, raised a hand to his chin thoughtfully. "Observation, adaptation, and cleverness," he muttered. "Strength alone does not guarantee victory. Remember this lesson." Alex stepped aside, breathing steadily but with a quiet satisfaction. He had expected this challenge and he had prepared for it, not with brute strength but with his mind and his patience. Every attack he had dodged, every opening he had exploited, was a small victory that no alien had anticipated. Around him the reactions were mixed. Some aliens whispered in admiration, others in disbelief, and a few tried to rationalize it as luck. But Alex knew it was not luck. It was preparation, observation, and the willingness to adapt faster than anyone else. One of the aliens, a tall, blue-skinned cadet, stepped forward cautiously. "Human, how are you doing this?" it asked, genuinely curious. Alex smiled lightly. "I watch, I learn, and I adjust. That's all." The alien's eyes widened. "That is not normal." Alex shrugged, quietly returning to the sidelines. He didn't need to boast. The results were visible. Humans were underestimated, yes, but cleverness, agility, and adaptation could level the playing field, or even give an advantage. By the end of the day, Alex had sparred with nearly every cadet in his group. He stumbled occasionally, yes, and he was still smaller and slower than most. But he had survived, learned, and even subtly outperformed many. The whispers were louder now. "Humans are not what we thought," repeated more frequently, some still hesitant to admit it openly. As the cadets left the arena, exhausted and thoughtful, Alex remained behind for a few moments, replaying each match in his mind. He had observed patterns, tested reactions, and learned weaknesses. Each encounter was a lesson, each opponent a teacher. And tomorrow he would use these lessons to do even better. The instructors observed quietly, exchanging subtle nods. A small human, underestimated at arrival, was quietly showing signs of extraordinary potential. Not brute strength, not natural speed, but a combination of intelligence, observation, and adaptability that no alien had expected. Alex walked out of the arena into the evening light, muscles tired but mind sharp. He had survived the first real test of combat, and the Academy would remember this day. Aliens would whisper, speculate, and perhaps even fear the capabilities of a species they had dismissed too quickly. The sparring arena was larger than any Alex had seen before, its floor polished and smooth, reflecting the bright lights above. Around it, rows of alien cadets and instructors watched from elevated platforms, murmuring and whispering in a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. Today was different. Today, Alex would face the top cadets, the strongest, fastest, and most experienced fighters in the Academy. Aliens who had trained for decades, whose bodies were built for speed, strength, and combat. Alex walked into the arena with calm steps, small compared to the towering alien fighters. His eyes scanned the crowd and the opponents, taking in every detail. The instructors stood silently at the edges, their expressions unreadable. The air buzzed with tension, as though the arena itself expected something extraordinary to happen. "Human," a deep voice boomed, amplified by the arena systems. "You will face our top cadets today. Do not underestimate your opponents. They are the best." Alex nodded, his expression calm. He didn't need encouragement or warnings. He had learned enough from the previous days. Observation, patience, adaptation, and quick thinking were just as powerful as brute strength. The first opponent approached, a large four-armed alien with glowing red eyes and thick armored skin. Its muscles rippled as it flexed, showing its strength. The crowd murmured, many betting quietly that the human would fail immediately. The alien lunged, swinging two massive arms toward Alex, expecting to crush him in a single blow. Alex ducked, rolled to the side, and narrowly avoided the strike. He had seen this type of attack before, studied it carefully, and waited for the right moment. The alien lunged again, slower this time, and Alex used its momentum to step behind it, tapping lightly on the back of one arm to throw it off balance. The alien stumbled and tried to recover, but Alex was already moving again, dodging with precision. Small, well-timed strikes targeted joints and weak points, not for damage but to unbalance and confuse. Each move was calculated, based on observation rather than strength. By the time the match ended, the alien was breathing heavily, confused, and clearly outmatched by this small human. The instructors nodded slightly, impressed despite themselves. The crowd erupted with whispers, some in disbelief. He's winning? How is he doing that? That human, he's fast, clever, different." Alex didn't pause. His next opponent was even faster. A winged alien with long talons and lightning reflexes. It darted across the arena, moving unpredictably, striking from different angles. Alex had anticipated unpredictability. He waited, watching the wings and limbs, reading the pattern in the chaos. The alien lunged at him repeatedly. Alex dodged, rolled, and shifted his weight, slipping under strikes and using the arena's walls to pivot. The alien's speed was incredible, but every attack left small openings, tiny moments that Alex exploited. A light tap here, a sidestep there, and the alien stumbled, unaccustomed to an opponent who could move so calmly and strategically. Some of the younger cadets gasped audibly. They had assumed speed alone would be enough to overpower Alex, but his ability to adapt on the fly made him nearly untouchable. Even the instructors exchanged glances, noting the precision and calm efficiency in his movements. After a short break, Alex faced a heavily armored alien with claws that could cut steel. The crowd held their breath. The alien charged with terrifying force, swinging and striking with deadly intent. Alex ducked and sidestepped, his movements smooth and precise. He had no intention of meeting strength with strength. Instead, he guided the alien's momentum, avoided direct contact, and used clever feints to tire it out. Finally, after several rounds, Alex tapped lightly on the alien's shoulder to signal the end. The alien froze, realizing it had been outsmarted rather than overpowered. The crowd erupted in gasps and murmurs. Whispers spread quickly, "Humans are far stronger than they look. He's incredible, we underestimated them." Alex paused, breathing steadily. He didn't raise his arms in triumph, didn't boast. His victory was quiet, a testament to patience, observation, and intelligence. Strength alone had not won these battles. Cleverness and adaptability had. His next opponent was a pair of smaller but highly trained aliens, known for their coordination and teamwork. The rules required one-on-one combat, but they attempted coordinated attacks, striking from different angles simultaneously. Alex smiled slightly. Coordination was predictable when studied carefully. He observed their timing, the split-second delays in their reactions, and the way they communicated through subtle signals. He dodged the first strike from one, rolled under a swing from the other, and countered with quick, precise movements that disrupted their rhythm. The pair became frustrated, unable to predict his next move. Alex stayed calm, moving with a fluidity that made him almost untouchable. By the end of the match, both cadets were exhausted and baffled. They had never faced an opponent who adapted so quickly, predicted so effectively, and used their strength against them without relying on power. From the observation platforms, cadets whispered, "Humans, they are not what we thought. They're clever, adaptable, unstoppable if underestimated." Alex's final match of the day was against the champion, the fastest, strongest cadet in the academy. The arena fell silent as the two faced each other. The champion's claws glowed faintly, its muscles tensed, ready for the first strike. Every cadet held their breath. The champion lunged immediately, moving with incredible speed. Alex dodged, rolled, and used the momentum to reposition himself. The champion's attacks were powerful, precise, and relentless, but Alex moved calmly, reading the patterns in the flurry of strikes. He was faster mentally than the champion was physically. He anticipated the angles, exploited tiny weaknesses, and responded with small, calculated movements. Minutes passed like hours. The crowd could hardly believe what they were seeing. A human, smaller, weaker in muscle, outmaneuvering the champion of the academy with cleverness, speed, and strategy. Finally, Alex sidestepped a final strike, tapped the champion lightly on the shoulder and stepped back. The match ended. The arena erupted. Some cadets cheered, others were silent in shock. The instructors whispered among themselves, noting that no human had ever achieved this level of skill so quickly. The champion blinked, confused and frustrated. It had underestimated Alex completely. One alien turned to another, voice low but filled with awe. He's different. Humans, we thought they were weak. We were wrong." Alex stepped out of the arena quietly, smiling slightly to himself. He didn't need applause or recognition. He had proven the point. Humans were underestimated, yes, but cleverness, strategy, and adaptability could overcome strength, speed, and size. As he walked toward the training hall's exit, other cadets whispered and stared. Some looked curious, others nervous. But all had learned one important lesson. Appearances could be deceiving, and underestimating humans was a mistake. That evening, Alex reviewed his performance quietly. Each opponent had taught him something new, every attack had been a lesson, and every strategy had been tested. The morning air in the Academy Simulation Hall was electric with anticipation. The hall was massive, designed to resemble battlefields on countless planets, filled with obstacles, ramps, and holographic enemies. Today, the cadets would engage in team-based exercises, testing not only strength and skill but also strategy, coordination, and leadership. Alex walked in quietly, his presence unassuming, yet he carried a confidence that was growing every day. "Human," a tall, four-armed instructor called, "you will lead a team today. Success depends on strategy, quick thinking, and teamwork. Remember, this is not a solo exercise. Coordinate, communicate, and adapt. Your opponents are elite squads trained for years." Alex nodded, acknowledging the instructions. He already had a plan forming in his mind. He had observed alien coordination for days, the way they signaled, their rhythm, and how they relied on predictable patterns. Humans were different. They could think on the spot, adapt immediately, and find solutions in moments that aliens might miss. Leadership, to Alex, was about seeing the bigger picture and reacting faster than the enemy. His team consisted of a mixture of alien cadets from various species. Some were skeptical, whispering under their breath, "Why is a human leading us? He's small, weak, inexperienced." Others were curious but cautious. Alex glanced at each of them, making quick assessments: strengths, weaknesses, and potential. "Listen carefully," Alex said calmly. "We move together. Watch each other, cover each other, and anticipate. Don't rely on brute force. Use your brains and we win." The elite alien squads approached, confident and intimidating. Their armor gleamed, weapons glimmered, and their speed and size were intimidating. Alex observed them quietly, noting the gaps in their coordination, the timing in their strikes, and the tendencies they had relied on too heavily. The simulation began. Holographic enemies sprang to life, creating chaotic environments filled with obstacles, traps, and moving targets. The alien opponents rushed forward, confident in their skill and strength. Alex's team moved calmly, following his commands. He gave short, precise instructions: who would cover which area, which flanks to protect, and when to distract or retreat. The first encounter shocked the audience. Alex's small team maneuvered quickly, avoiding direct attacks while exploiting openings in the elite squad's formations. A large alien charged, swinging with strength that could crush bones, but Alex's team sidestepped, baiting the attack into a trap. Two smaller members pushed the armored alien into a holographic wall, while Alex delivered a calculated strike that disarmed it. The crowd gasped, whispering among themselves. "The human, he's controlling the fight," a blue-skinned cadet murmured. "His strategy is flawless." The elite squads attempted to regroup, but Alex's team adapted faster than they expected. He anticipated their movements, repositioned his members, and communicated silently through subtle signals and eye contact. Each action was designed to exploit the alien tendency to overestimate their strength and rely on predictable patterns. One squad tried to flank Alex's team from the side, moving with deadly precision. Alex had seen this coming. He signaled two cadets to reposition and block the path while a third moved to cut off their advance. The ambush failed, leaving the elite squad off balance. Alex himself moved swiftly to disrupt the front line, using minimal force but maximum effect. The instructor watched quietly, nodding slightly. Never before had he seen a human lead so effectively against such experienced cadets. Strength alone could not explain the victory. It was intelligence, coordination, and adaptability that made the difference. As the simulation continued, Alex's team executed flawless maneuvers, using the environment to their advantage, covering each other, and exploiting small mistakes made by the elite squads. Each encounter left the opponents frustrated and bewildered. They had trained for years to fight, but Alex's humans were unpredictable. Aliens in the observation stands whispered, their confidence shaken. "How is he doing this?" one asked. "He's not stronger, not faster, yet he's leading them to victory." Another muttered, "Humans, maybe we underestimated them. Far too clever for their size." Alex's team moved like a single organism, each member understanding the overall plan and executing without hesitation. Where the elite squads relied on brute strength and coordination learned over decades, Alex's team relied on adaptability, anticipation, and the human ability to improvise instantly. Every small error by the opponents was magnified, every hesitation exploited. At the final stage of the simulation, a large, heavily armed alien squad attempted a full assault. Alex directed his team with calm precision, positioning his cadets to bait, block, and counter. The elite aliens moved quickly, confident in their superior strength, but Alex's strategy forced them into disadvantageous positions. One by one they were neutralized, not by brute force but by clever tactics and careful planning. When the final holographic enemy fell, silence filled the arena for a moment. The alien spectators and instructors were shocked. Alex's team had won against the elite squads, using intellect, strategy, and coordination rather than raw power. Finally, the crowd erupted into whispers and murmurs, some nervous, some amazed. "Humans, their cunning is unmatched," a green-skinned cadet said quietly. "I can't believe it." Another nodded. "And they adapt faster than we can predict." Even the elite alien cadets looked at Alex with a mixture of respect, frustration, and disbelief. Their assumptions about humans had been wrong. Strength, size, and natural ability mattered less than the ability to think, adapt, and coordinate in real time. Alex stepped forward, addressing his team quietly. "Well done. We stayed calm, observed, and adapted. Remember, this is just practice. The real lesson is that preparation and thinking matter as much as strength. Never underestimate your own mind." The team smiled quietly, proud but aware that Alex's guidance had been the true key to their success. They had learned something invaluable. Human leadership, strategy, and adaptability could overcome even the most elite and experienced opponents. After the exercises, the instructor approached Alex. "I underestimated humans before," he admitted. "Your leadership, strategy, and cleverness, they are extraordinary. You have shown that humans cannot be judged by size or strength alone." Alex nodded humbly. "Thank you, sir. We all learned today. We adapted, observed, and acted as one. That's what made the difference." Word of Alex's success spread quickly through the academy. Alien cadets discussed it in hushed tones, some with admiration, some with disbelief. The whispers became louder. "Humans are not weak. They have unmatched cunning. They adapt faster than anyone expects." That evening, Alex returned to his quarters quietly, reflecting on the day. Every decision, every movement, every strategy had been observed and executed carefully. He had led a team of aliens to victory against opponents far stronger and faster than them. He knew the victory wasn't just his, it belonged to the team, guided by strategy and careful planning. The morning sun glimmered through the enormous windows of the Academy's Grand Hall. Rows of cadets from dozens of alien species stood in formation, their uniforms gleaming, their expressions serious. Today was the graduation ceremony, the day when the best cadets were recognized for their skill, perseverance, and leadership. The hall was filled with instructors, officials, and spectators from various planets, all watching intently. Alex stepped into the hall quietly, small compared to the towering aliens surrounding him, yet his posture straight, calm, and confident. Whispers ran through the crowd almost immediately. Many cadets still remembered the early days of training when they had laughed at him, mocked him, and thought him weak. They remembered the stumbling, the falls, the small, quiet human who seemed no match for anyone. But over the weeks, Alex had shown something far more powerful than size or brute strength. He had shown intelligence, adaptability, and skill beyond their expectations. The chief instructor, a tall figure with glowing eyes and arms that shimmered with energy, stepped forward onto the raised stage. The hall fell silent. Every cadet and observer turned their attention to him. "Cadets," he began, his voice amplified and deep, "today we recognize those who have excelled in our academy. Strength, skill, and courage have been tested in every trial. Leadership, strategy, and intelligence have been demonstrated. And one cadet has shown exceptional ability, surpassing all expectations." All eyes shifted toward Alex. He stepped forward slowly, keeping his expression neutral, but inside, a small smile appeared. He had worked hard, studied carefully, and adapted constantly, but he knew recognition from the instructors would be a turning point, not just for him but for how the galaxy viewed humans. The instructor continued, "This cadet has proven that underestimation is a mistake. That intelligence, observation, adaptability, and calm determination can overcome even the strongest opponents. This cadet, a human, has earned the title of top cadet of the Academy." The hall erupted with murmurs, some shocked, some impressed. Many cadets looked at each other, trying to process the words. Humans had been underestimated for centuries, considered fragile, weak, or incapable of competing with more physically advanced species. And now, a human stood before them, officially recognized as the best cadet in the Academy. Alex stepped onto the platform, accepting a gleaming medal that shimmered with energy. The instructor placed it around his neck, and the crowd fell silent, a mixture of awe and disbelief filling the room. The medal itself pulsed faintly, symbolizing both honor and recognition. As he turned to face the audience, Alex saw cadets whispering, eyes wide. The horned alien who had mocked him in the first days of training stood stiffly, jaw tight, eyes reluctant but clearly filled with respect. Several others had their heads lowered, trying not to show admiration too openly. Some smaller cadets glanced at him with curiosity, clearly inspired by what they had witnessed. The chief instructor raised his hand again. "Let this day be remembered. Humans are a species that cannot be underestimated. Their strength lies not only in physical skill but in intelligence, creativity, adaptability, and perseverance. Every cadet should learn from this example." Alex nodded slightly, keeping his calm composure. He could feel the weight of the recognition, but he didn't let it go to his head. For him, the journey was not about applause or awards, it was about proving that humans had potential, that they could think, adapt, and succeed in ways the galaxy often ignored. As the ceremony continued, cadets were called forward to receive their own awards. Alex's team members were recognized as well, though their applause seemed smaller compared to the attention Alex received. He quietly acknowledged them with a nod, knowing their coordination, trust, and ability to follow strategy had contributed to every success. After the ceremony, cadets crowded around Alex. Some approached nervously, others with curiosity. You really are incredible," whispered a green-skinned cadet, eyes wide. "I thought humans were small, weak, and slow, but you've shown something entirely different." Alex smiled lightly. "Strength isn't only physical. Observation, patience, and thinking ahead matter just as much." Another cadet, a blue-winged alien, tilted its head. "I never realized humans could be so clever. You adapt faster than anyone I've ever trained with." Alex nodded calmly. "We learn from our mistakes. We watch, adapt, and try again. That's how humans survive and succeed." The whisper spread through the academy like wildfire. Instructors discussed quietly among themselves, nodding in agreement. The small human had changed perceptions. Cadets who had laughed at him were now reconsidering everything they knew about humans. Outside the hall, the courtyard was filled with families, friends, and visiting officials. Alex stepped out into the sunlight briefly, looking at the stars above, distant and shining. He thought about the future, about missions, challenges, and opportunities. Humans had always been underestimated, but now the galaxy had seen a glimpse of their potential. Some aliens lingered, staring at him with a mixture of awe and uncertainty. They had witnessed something they could not ignore. A human had not only survived training but had excelled in ways that no one had anticipated. Intelligence, strategy, and adaptability had triumphed over size, speed, and brute strength. Alex returned to his quarters quietly, reflecting on the journey. He had started small and underestimated, mocked and doubted. Every stumble, every fall, every lesson had contributed to this moment. Recognition was not the goal. Proving that humans could compete, adapt, and lead was the real reward. As the stars began to shine across the sky, Alex sat quietly by the window, thinking about the galaxy beyond the academy. He knew humans were still underestimated in many places, and many challenges awaited. But he also knew that one demonstration of cleverness and leadership could inspire change. And as the night settled over the academy, one thought remained in his mind: humans could never be underestimated. They adapted, they learned, and they persevered. And Alex, small but clever, had shown the galaxy what human potential truly looked like. A quiet smile spread across his face. The award around his neck was bright, but the real victory was the knowledge that the galaxy had glimpsed something far greater, something aliens would never forget. And somewhere in the quiet whispers of the academy and the galaxy beyond, the truth spread slowly: humans were a species to be respected, admired, and never underestimated. Alex looked out into the vast stars, knowing that this was only the beginning, that human potential had only just started to be noticed, and that one day the galaxy would fully understand the strength of humans, not in muscle or size but in mind, courage, and adaptability.